Hello, this is Charley Hesse from Tropical Birding and welcome to this video trip report from my recent Borneo trip. We're going to start with a quick look at the Tropical Birding website. The link is in the trip description. It's got some nice photos there, some important information. You can see it's a 2-week tour with an extension to Sarawak. And it also runs back to back with a Peninsular Malaysia tour, which we'll do a separate video for. But yeah, 2-week tour plus another week extension. It's a fantastic trip, not only for birds, but also for other wildlife. A lot of great mammals, some wonderful habitats. One thing to say is that the Sarawak extension is pretty, well, I wouldn't say pretty, very rustic and quite physical. The tour itself is also kind of moderate to difficult, so you need a good degree of fitness to take part in this tour. Let's start with a map of the region. Borneo is a very large island. It's actually split between 3 nations, and the southern part, Kalimantan, belongs to Indonesia. The 2 northern states of Sabah and Sarawak are semi-autonomous states belonging to Malaysia, and then there's a tiny Sultanate of Brunei as well. So the main tour concentrates on the northern territory of Sabah, where we spend 2 weeks, and the extension is just across the border into Sabah, where we do the Sarawak extension. So we only visit the Malaysian part of Borneo. The tour starts in the capital of Sabah, which is Kota Kinabalu, a decent-sized town. There we stay in a very nice hotel, the Hyatt Regency, very modern, comfortable hotel. Really nice food, wonderful Malay food, Indian food, Chinese food, great buffet. So on the first day of the tour, we get picked up at our hotel in Kota Kinabalu and we get taken to a site, a birding site called Klias. It's a peat swamp forest reserve. It's got some real special birds. This is still within the state of Sabah. There's a nice boardwalk through a wonderful forest. The peat swamp forest is quite nutrient deficient soil. So you get very thin, tall, thin trees, and some of them, because it's quite soft, fall over. They're sort of diagonal, but we got some real targets that we're looking for there. One of which is a scarlet-breasted flowerpecker, very limited distribution species, which we saw very well. Another big target is the hook-billed bulbul, very unusual understory insectivorous bulbul in a monotypic genus, really big target, very unusual bird. We also had a very seldom seen bird, the jambu fruit dove. It's actually widespread through the Sunda region, but very seldom seen. And we had wonderful views. We had a guide and also a guide in training who were just wonderful spotters. And one of them spotted this fantastic male jambu fruit dove, which was a real highlight. From Klias, we drove across the border into Sarawak. And then we had quite a long drive up to a small town called Bakilalan. This is what the road looks like in some places. It's got really nice forest along the road, really good birding along a lot of it. This is the town of Bakilalan. It's actually centered around a football pitch, and you're not allowed to drive around here. It's only walking and bikes. So you get dropped off and you have to walk about 300 yards to the hotel. We stayed at a homestay, and this was our host called Julia. And it's really like being in someone's house. This huge house. It's rustic, but comfortable. And the food is really good. I mean, it's some of my favorite food of the whole Malaysian tour. Really fresh, home-cooked vegetables. Really delicious food. I really enjoy it. The roads in this area are very muddy, so you need these big 4x4s, which tend to get very muddy as well. And this is what the birding normally looks like. You're walking along these dirt or gravel roads and birding the roadside. And there are some truly rare birds, and there are some really difficult birds and really high quality birds found on this extension. Here's a few of the birds that we saw. This is a Temminck sunbird. It's a male, very beautiful. One of our first Bornean endemics, which was the Bornean tree pie. This is probably the biggest target in Bakilalan. It's called the Dulit frogmouth, a huge frogmouth. And the clients commented that they've probably worked harder for this bird than any other bird they had in their lives. I mean, we really, really worked out. We went out every night and every morning, in the dark, trudging around, climbing over fences, wading through streams. We really deserved it. And we only got it on the very final morning, having tried about 4 different sites. So very difficult bird, but we've got a fantastic local guide, and he never gave up. And we were rewarded with this really good bird, the Dulit Frogmouth. Huge. From Bakilalan, the next site we were visiting is a place called Paya Maga, but we drove back along the road. We backtracked, and we stayed at a lodge called Menangan Place. This, by normal standards, was pretty basic, but by the standards of this tour, was pretty luxurious. It's fairly comfortable, another kind of homestay type place. And from there, we had to walk in to this place, Paya Maga. I think it was about 4.5 kilometers, but it was muddy, up and down. It was tough. It's a fairly tough hike. You need to be fairly fit. Sometimes it can be really muddy, and you just, you need long boots. But there's good birding along the way as well, so you could take it slow. Crossing some bridges, little homemade bridges with logs. There's some really good birds on the way. We picked up the white-necked babbler, a strangely rare bird that's kind of found all over the Greater Sundas, but just very, very thinly distributed. We also had this wonderful dusky broadbill. Some really nice butterflies there as well. And we finally arrived at this wooden cabin, surrounded by a fantastic forest containing some really, truly wonderful birds. Despite the fact that it was a very basic place, the food was remarkably good. Porters come in with you, and they do all the cooking as well. So we were pretty exhausted when we got there, and then all of a sudden, our main target for coming here, the black oriole, it's about the only place you can still see this bird in the wild. It's one of the big targets of the Sarawak extension, the black oriole. It started singing outside, and we just felt like, we thought, can we not see it later? And the guide was like, nope, this is what we're here for. Come on, put your boots on. You really cracked the whip. And we went out and we got great views of this really cool bird. I think this is probably the most basic place I've ever stayed on an organized trip. I mean, basically it's a wooden cabin with some mattresses. That was it. They brought a sleeping bag along for you. There was 2 rooms. The clients actually got their own room, but really, really basic. So don't expect the Ritz on this extension. It's physically tough. It's very, very basic, but the birds are next level. There's some other birds, Hose's broadbill and Malaysian rail babbler is one of the best spots for those. So yeah, it's really worthwhile coming. This was a little toilet block. At night, when we were having our dinner, we were treated to views of the Malay civet. I think they throw a few chicken bones out the back, and this Malay civet comes in, and that we got great views of that. Another big target. They usually recommend that you stay 2 nights. We only stayed 1, and this was another big target. Sometimes you can see this around Bakilalan. We missed it, and it's called the Bornean Frogmouth. And we tried at night. I think we heard it, missed it. Out again the next morning before dawn in the dark, heard it, missed it again. And it was light, and it was like, nah, we've missed it. There's no way we're going to see this bird. And the local guide still wasn't giving up on it. He said, let's just try one more time. And I was like, yeah, it's light. And he goes in, he says, play the call. And even though they don't fly in or move around, they will sometimes call back, even during the early morning. So we played the call, it called, and then we went crashing around in the forest with our thermal scopes trying to spot this bird, and we found it. And just before we were leaving, we managed to get this bird. This is one of the big targets of the Sarawak extension. So we got the 2 big frogmouths, the Dulit and the Bornean. So that was a huge coup. From Bakilalan, we went all the way back to Kota Kinabalu, where we finished off the Sarawak extension. We said goodbye to our wonderful guides, Liu, and his new trainee guide, Hazwan, who is really one of the best bird spotters I've ever met. He was next level. These guys are real pros. Some other people joined the tour then, and we were supposed to fly from Kota Kinabalu to a city called Lahad Datu, further east, and unfortunately our flight was cancelled. So we had to stay an extra night in Kota Kinabalu, nothing else for it. And the next day, we finally flew out, and we only had 2 nights at our first site, which was a disappointment. And we were picked up in Lahad Datu and taken to this lodge called Borneo Rainforest Lodge. Just probably my favorite eco lodge in the world. Incredibly well done. It's expensive. But in the middle of this beautiful tropical lowland rainforest, it's just wonderful. Really nice rooms, fantastic food, great birding from the deck there. It was really, really cool. So we arrived in the afternoon, where we settled into our rooms, we had dinner, and we went out for a night walk. There's a staff quarters. They've got like a little football pitch out the back, and that's where the staff live. So we walked through there, and this buffy fish owl was sat on its usual perch, which was the crossbar of the football pitch. Saw some other birds. We had rufous-backed dwarf kingfishers sleeping at night. We had some great herps, Bornean forest dragon, file-eared tree frog. Yeah, we had snakes. We had all sorts, some great mammals. It's just a really exciting place to walk around at night. The next morning, we went for a walk along the entrance road, which is lined by this really fantastic forest, really tall trees. And we had a bunch of birds there. You know, we only really had one full day here, so we were trying to make the most of it. We had blue-throated bee-eaters, these huge Rhinoceros Hornbills, ventriloquial oriole, several species of trogon. This was a real treat. The great Argus pheasant, it's a bird with one of the longest feathers in the world. These tail feathers are incredibly long, used in their very elaborate courtship. Normally a very, very difficult bird to see, but here they have a sort of habituated animal. I'm going to put the sound on for this. I just have a listen to this. Just amazing. This is really one of the coolest sounds of the Bornean forest. But it's very easy to hear, but not easy to see this bird. So this was a real treat, having it so close and being able to watch it calling like this. Another big target, of course, in the Bornean rainforest is the Bornean orangutan. We were a little bit worried because we'd lost a day, but we got great views our first afternoon. And this was an adult female. All the guides are taking different groups around, and they carry walkie-talkies. So if somebody sees an orangutan or one making a nest or whatever, they will tell everybody else, and then you can rush and kind of twitch the orangutan. But we just had really, really nice views of this animal. The second night, we took a night drive along the road in these golf buggies, and we saw this Sunda leopard cat, which is regularly seen there. We got great views of this animal along the road. I think it's hunting for frogs. You see it like sniffing around, but it walks along here. Just keep an eye out here. You'll see a movement. There he goes. And it jumps on this thing, gets this juicy frog. But it was a real privilege to watch this gorgeous animal hunting. The next morning, I'll put the call on again here for you. Can you hear it? This is another big sound of the forest. One of the big targets, a Sabah endemic. There it goes again. Fantastic. Yeah, another one of the great sounds of the rainforest. So we got that on the final morning, which was a relief. Yeah, there's several endemic pittas in Borneo, so they're always a big target. From Borneo Rainforest Lodge, we were driven to a place called Rainforest Discovery Centre near the town of Sandakan, and we had 2 nights here, another place that we could explore the lowland rainforest. We stayed in a really nice lodge here with really good birding and very close to the Rainforest Centre. One of the coolest things about the Rainforest Discovery Centre is its boardwalk. It has these big metal bridges and quite an extensive network of canopy walkways and towers. See this huge bridge here, and just really good place to explore the canopy of the rainforest. We had some southern pigtail macaques hanging out on the boardwalk here. I'll put the sound on here. This is the Van Hassel's sunbird, singing away here in the canopy in the morning. Lots of other cool stuff. Flower peckers. This is the orange-bellied flower pecker, quite a common bird. There's a little bit of slow motion footage of one of the spider hunters. I think this is yellow-eared spider hunter. We had a really nice flowering tree just at eye level, and there was a whole bunch. I think we had 3 or 4 spider hunter species coming in, so that was a real treat. We had other flycatchers, the verditer flycatcher female, picking off some insects here. Some nice raptors. This is Wallace's hawk eagle, which is nesting up in the canopy. Several hornbills. This is a black hornbill. And this was another treat. They had a sort of habituated Sabah partridge, recently split from chestnut necklaced partridge, but it was walking around right in front of us. It was showing really well. Several woodpeckers there. This is a female orange-backed woodpecker. We had white-bellied and olive-backed, and yeah, all sorts, a whole bunch of woodpeckers there. Lots of babblers, unstarred babblers. This was before the chestnut-winged babbler, now called the grey-hooded babbler, Bornean endemic. Put the sound on here. This is the black-capped babbler, which is also recently split. It's a Bornean black-capped babbler. We had point-blank views of this singing right in front of us, which was a real treat. At night, you go out to look for flying squirrels. And I was trying to get a video of one, and I just caught a little bit. Check this out. Look at that. Wow. Flying down from the canopy. Just amazing. They roost in these boxes, and they come out at dusk. And there's also local guides there in big groups. And you're looking up at these boxes, trying to get photos and stuff of these flying squirrels. And they always come out of the box, and then they just fly down, sometimes over your heads, which is a really cool experience. And the final morning, we went in again, and we saw more orangutans. This time a group of 3, which is very unusual. Normally they're solitary or just with one young one. But yeah, there was 3 here. I think the old juvenile was just still sticking around. But we had this young animal climbing right up to the top and dangling down. It was really cool. But yeah, you never tire of seeing these animals. They're really cool. He kind of grabs one of the top branches, and then looks like he's gonna fall out of the tree. His mother doesn't seem too worried, but here we go. Wow! No orangutans were hurt in the filming of this, but yeah, real privilege to watch. There he goes, hanging on. Very cool. One of the big targets at Danum and also Sepilok is the Bornean Bristlehead. Unfortunately, we didn't see it. This is the only one we saw on a mural on the wall. They can be very difficult birds. Sometimes they're around, sometimes they're not. This year was a tricky year, so we didn't see that bird. After Rainforest Discovery Centre, we drove to the town of Sandakan, and from there, we took a boat to Sukau Rainforest Lodge along these rivers. Again, lowland rainforest, but this time a river lodge, and we did a lot of boat rides there, which is cool. On the boat in, we saw this huge saltwater crocodile, which is pretty cool. One of the Bornean Big Five. We got great views of this big target here, the endangered Storm's stork, one of the rarest storks in the world. Some good raptors along there, white-bellied seagulls, get fish eagles, grey-headed and lesser fish eagles. Yeah, it was really good. Really nice rooms there, very comfortable, air-conditioned, great food. Yeah, it's a really nice lodge. When we arrived there, we were told that there was some Bornean Pygmy elephants that were being seen. So, on our first boat ride, we shut off. Again, lot of boats, but there's a lot of different lodges there, so we were all kind of crowded around trying to get looks at these animals. And we got some kind of distant views, but it's becoming a very popular place now. A lot of lodges, a lot of boats. But having said that, I think this economic input into the area is very important, and the government really is taking note of this. And this was the first year that I've been told that, because I've been coming here 20 years, and the forest was slowly getting chopped down in place of oil palm plantations. But this is the first year I was hearing they were starting to chop down the oil palm plantations to replant forest. So that was a really good sign. And I think that's partly due to these economic forces. People are noticing how much money the ecotourism is bringing in. So yeah, that's good. Another one of the big mammal targets are the Proboscis monkeys. Very cute. They were showed really well, and they're always hanging out on the edge of the forest there above the water, so you can get really close views. You see these have fairly small noses, but of course we wanted to see a male with a big nose, big honker here. Look at that male proboscis monkey with a big belly as well. They eat mainly leaves. Really big target. Another one of the Bornean Big Five. Other mammals here, different langurs and macaques. Yeah, really good place for primates. We had a wonderful sunset there. It was really cool to be on the river at that time of day. Food in the lodge is very good. I'm a vegetarian. That's some really nice vegetarian food. Some tempeh here, fresh vegetables. We did a night boat ride, which is a great way to see kingfishers. They tend to sort of roost quite low over the water. Here's a stalk-billed kingfisher and a blue-eared kingfisher. So I had really nice views of those. And also this wonderful buffy fishout. We've seen it before, but we've got more great views of that. And they hunt along the rivers. And we were exploring some of the tributaries along there. And you can see the change in water level. It was relatively low when we were there. But after it rains and like during the rainy season, the water level pushes up. Great place to see broadbills. This is a black and yellow broadbill. Some other cool birds that we saw, dollarbird, some lovely sunbirds, ruby-cheeked sunbird, black-naped monarch, male, beautiful colour. It's very strangely patterned juvenile square-tailed drongo cuckoo. This kind of polka dot effect, so it was quite cool to see. And it's a particularly good place to see hornbills. You can see, I think all of the hornbills in Borneo occur along this river. I think there's 7 species. So, yeah, and we saw most of them. This is one of the commoner ones, the oriental pied hornbill. This was, the king of the hornbills, the Rhinoceros Hornbill again. Just amazing views of this. You can often hear them, but you don't often see them calling. So this was a real treat to have it calling here. Wow. Very cool. This is one of the rarer ones, white-crowned hornbill. Pretty skulking. It's got a long white tail. It's kind of Mohican. It goes. Wow. Yeah, very cool. Also good for raptors. I'll put the sound on again. This is calling here. This is a changeable hawk eagle, the dark morph, which we were very lucky to see calling here by boat. We went across the river and were picked up and were taken to the Gomantong Caves. Along the entrance road here, we saw yet another orangutan. This was a flange male, a big adult male with this kind of like facial disc. And it was pretty close. It was a real treat. And he was even kind of like shaking the branches. He was a little bit aggressive. Yeah, this was a really, really cool view. Also had some other good birds on the way into the cave. This is the wreathed hornbill. More rufous-backed dwarf kingfishers. This was a cool one. The Sunda scimitar babbler, shown pretty well here. A lot of bats come out of the cave, so there's quite a lot of raptors around there. This is the rufous-bellied eagle, which sometimes flies around at dusk trying to pick off bats. So millions of bats, wrinkle-lipped bats that come out of the cave. This is the entrance to the cave. It was closed for 2 or 3 years and just reopened recently with a brand new boardwalk. So we were very happy to get in there and see it. Just beautiful rock formations inside. Inside are thousands of swiftlet species, and they harvest the swiftlets' nests after the breeding season, and they sell them for bird's nest soup. And then this is like a little demonstration ladder. This is what they use to climb up there and collect the nests. These birds are very similar to each other. You can only really be sure of their identification when you see them on the nest. You see these are white nests here. These are the most valuable nests. There's black nests and mossy nests as well. So, we saw all 3 species of those swiftlets. Also lots of other creepy crawlies in the cave. Lots of centipedes and cockroaches. And some other species of bats. This is a roundleaf bat. And on the way out, also some fruit bat species. From Gomantong, we were driven to our next place on the tour, which is Mount Kinabalu, the highest mountain in Southeast Asia. We weren't climbing to the top, but birding some of the lower slopes here. But yeah, very impressive mountain. This is it from where we were staying, from our lodge in Kundasang. Beautiful montane rainforest in there, just mossy covered trunks and a large number of Bornean endemics. A lot of the montane birds in Borneo are endemics. And this is recently split, the pale-faced bulbul. Sunda cuckoo shrike. This is a Bornean whistler. Grey-throated babbler is quite a common bird there. Sunda warbler. Indigo flycatcher. Yeah, it's really fantastic birding. It's quite easy to see a lot of birds there. It's one of the best birds here, the Bornean green magpie, quite a rare bird now. And this is a real target. There's 3 birds called whiteheads. And this is the whiteheads broadbill. Emerald green, really well spotted by one of the participants. Karen, well done. After we finished at Mount Kinabalu, we moved on to the town of Tambunan. And here we took a special trip in to a photographic blind, where they were seeing some really rare birds. This was not part of the tour, but it will be in the future. It was so good that we recommended that it's included in future tours. And this is a hide here. This was set up by a local guy called KK Lee. And yeah, it was a real privilege to be in there. These are some of the birds that he gets there. The starbird, of course, is the bulwar's pheasant, pictured down the top left. But lots of other birds. We saw Bornean Banded Pitta, which we'd only glimpsed on the Sarawak extension. And we tried so hard for that, spent hours looking for it. And here it was just hopping around in front of our faces. And this is the male there, getting photobombed by laughing thrush. But just a stunning bird, just gorgeous. Asian emerald dove, Penam bulbuls, lots of babblers coming in, grey-hooded babblers again, different blue flycatchers and things, oriental magpie robin, black-bellied race, Temminck's babblers, orange-headed thrush was a really nice bird coming in to feed on mealworms there. Tons of squirrels. We had 7 species of squirrels, can you believe it? And then also, this is another one here, the whiteheads. I think that last one was lows. This is whiteheads. And also a lot of these other animals called tree shrews. They're very squirrel-like, but unrelated. This is the lesser tree shrew. And I think the mountain tree shrew. We got 5 species of tree shrews. Yeah, it was great. We spent the whole day in there. It's just fantastic. And finally, the prize bird came in, the bulwar's pheasant. We waited all day, hours and hours and hours. And finally a male and 2 females came in. But this bright white tail, all these blue wattles on the face. Oh, so cool. And also these wonderful partridges, not easy to see in the wild. The crested partridge, male and female. Male's that metallic blue color, and the female's metallic green with that chestnut wing and these cute little crests. So these were another big target there. Fantastic views. Yeah, but again, we had to wait several hours for them to come in. And the last site on the tour was pretty close to Tambanan. This is Gunung Alab, just on the final morning of the tour. We went to another feeding site, had snow-browed flycatchers and, different laughing thrushes, chestnut-hooded laughing thrush and Sunda laughing thrushes. Showed really well. And we also did some birding along the road. We got this endemic Bornean leaf bird, which was quite cool. We also visited the Rafflesia Information Center, and they had a fresh flower. This is one of the biggest flowers in the world. And luckily they had one that was quite accessible, so we went to see that. This is actually quite a small one. This is Rafflesia pricey, the Rafflesia species in this area. This one, I think, when it's spread out fully, was about 50 centimeters. but you do get bigger ones as well. But yeah, this was quite lucky to see one of these. Yeah, that's a sign for the Rafflesia place. And this was our local guide for the last part of the tour. Shafiel, wonderful guy. We had several local guides on our tour, and some really nice guys trying really hard to show us all these special birds. So that was really nice to get to know these guys. Please check out my eBird trip report. It's got all the species that were found on the tour. 282 species, 155 photographed. Yeah, and I've got all the information on here where we saw all the birds. I've attached all my photos on there, so please have a look through those. I'll put the link in the description for this video. I also put all my non-bird records on iNaturalist, so you can see all the mammals and herbs and flowers and stuff on there. So I'll also put the link on for that. But it's a fantastic nature tour, fantastic birding, physically a little bit demanding. It's quite a tiring tour. It's kind of hot, sweaty days. But it's really worth the effort, and definitely one of those bucket list tours. Thanks for joining me for this video trip report. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope to see you in the future on a Borneo trip. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.